Hi YouTube, it's Kathy and this is my weekly entertainment wrap-up for May 10th through 16th. This week I read one book, I watched 3 shows, and I listened to one book. I don't think I even mentioned it last time, but I am currently in Frankfurt. This is the second weekly video I'm filming here because we're here for about 10 days, I think it is. Which means that tomorrow we actually move to a completely different location, although it feels like every single day we've been going somewhere new, and that's because we have. Basically, when we travel, we like to set down one central location as kind of a hub location where we sleep every night. Then during the daytime, we go out to random different places via the train because we've got the Deutschland tickets, so traveling is basically free. Which means that every day except for the day that we did laundry, we've basically gone to all these tiny little German villages and they're all super adorable and there's castles everywhere and it's just a lot of fun. We also have friends that live in a town really close to here, so we visited them a couple of times, and all of that is a long preamble to say that's why I haven't really read that much this week. I know that I still finished one book with my eyeballs and one book with my earballs. Often it's more than that. This was not the week for that. I was busy. The book that I read with my eyeballs this week was an arc of the Disaster Gaze Detective Agency. This is about 4 friends who live in New York City, all of them queer, and we get all of their perspectives throughout this book, which is really fun because you really get to know the characters. We start out with Brandon, who works the front desk at a hotel, and this really gorgeous guy comes in and he's really into maybe seeing where things would go, although you're not really supposed to date clients. However, there is a little bit of flirting. It does seem like there's a little bit of a spark. And said gorgeous guy calls down to the reception saying, "Oh yeah, I need an extra towel. Can you bring one up?" And one thing leads to another. He tells the group chat of all of his friends about this, and they're like, "You probably shouldn't have done that at work, but happy for you." And then things change drastically when the hot guy checks out of the hotel without even talking to him and is checking out early. And also, he's left some stuff behind in the room, so now he's just really confused about the situation. One of the group, Ollie, is a trans man who works primarily as a dog walker, and he's currently house sitting at this really fancy house because the people that own one of the dogs that he dog sits for are away. And he is super into true crime podcasts, so he's just thinking about this, like, what could have happened? What happened to this guy? Why did somebody else try to come pick up his stuff? All these types of things. So he's in it for the mystery. Then we also have Brandon's roommate Ian, who is a non-binary drag queen who also works at a bookstore. And they have some very messy personal history because about a year ago they were dating somebody who ended up cheating on them. And ever since they've been keying his car or stalking him on Instagram, and it's just a messy situation. The 4th person in this friend group is a lesbian named Nicole, and she is actually working at a law firm. She's working her way up. She works really, really hard, which means she really only gets to see her friends at Saturday brunch. But when something incredibly unexpected and probably illegal happens, Nicole is the first person that Brandon calls. From there, it's this group of friends just trying to solve this situation without getting harmed. I absolutely adored this. I really enjoyed getting to know these characters, all the twists and turns in the narrative, what could possibly be going on, and there were also a couple of things that made it really fun that I was reading it in Germany. For example, Brandon is obsessed with this very obscure German comic, which doesn't actually exist, unfortunately. I did look it up and I was like, oh, okay, fair enough. But the fact that it was a spy comic set in Germany, I really enjoyed seeing that while I was in Germany. Also, one of the characters works in Brussels, and I was there a few weeks ago, so that was really cool. On to what I watched this week. We watched another entire season of Jet Lag. We watched the all-star season of Tag Across Europe because we're just watching all of them because we're here. And this is something that we watched before, so it was a rewatch, but it is also really fun to just be like, oh, they're in these different locations. And then as we're awaiting trains, we're like, oh, look, the guys on Jet Lag just went to that the other night while we were watching an episode, but we're going in the opposite direction. But it'd be really funny if we went there. And sometimes we've actually been to train stations and be like, oh yeah, this looks familiar because I've seen it on Jet Lag. We also caught up on the last couple of episodes of Tom Scott England, episodes 7 and 8, because we forgot to watch one last week. And his enjoyment of these travels and going to these different places and learning these new things is just so infectious. I really love the format of this because years and years and years ago, I thought of something kind of similar overall, but a different premise, which is that I wanted to like interview people I knew and then eventually people I didn't know about the jobs that they do that are things that I would never do, but then also learn a little bit about what it's like to be in the various fields. I thought that would be really cool, and that's kind of what he's doing here, except for he's got the budget, the tech, and the charisma to pull it off. And then finally we watched the most recent episode of Taskmaster, which is episode 6 of season 21. And it's just so much fun, and the things that this show makes people do that they don't think they're ever going to actually admit to on television, and then they're like, wait, can we not put that in the show? And it's like, sorry, it's already in there. It's just a lot of fun. It's always going to be enjoyable. As for the book I listened to this week, that was Goddess of the River. I picked this one up because it's one of the spring picks for the page-bound read-along. Because every season there are 4 different books. If you read at least one of them, you get a badge. If you read all 4 of them, you get a sparkly badge. And of course I want the sparkly one. As you might be able to guess from the title, this one is all about the Goddess of the River, and this one has to do with mythology that I wasn't all too familiar with going into it, so that was interesting. However, there's something about the scope of stories like this that my brain just doesn't understand, because this does take place over hundreds of years at certain points, but then it focuses quite heavily on a certain subsection of time, and then a lot of political intrigue to do with that time, and things to do with fate, and whether or not you go back on things that you've said you're going to do, and the gods, and the different whims of gods, and the fact that one god can trap another. And it was enjoyable. The writing is absolutely beautiful, but I am definitely not the person to try to recount to you all of the poignant things that happened in this. I can tell you I really enjoyed my time with it. I can't tell you exactly what happened because there were a lot of moving parts and my brain just doesn't do that. That's it for this week. If you've ever watched or listened to any of these, let me know about it down in the comments below. On the way down to the comments, if you hit that subscribe button, that would be very nice of you. If you don't feel like leaving a comment but want to make sure that I know you were here, just leave me an emoji or a smiley face if you happen to be on your keyboard. Some people have asked if there's a way to financially support this channel, so I set up a Ko-fi account, which is a digital tipping service. The link for that, as always, is down below. You can like and share this as you see fit, and I will see you very soon. Bye!